Time is running out. Have you ever wondered if today's headlines are more than just news? What if I told you that millennia-old prophecies are being fulfilled before our eyes? 2025, a year like any other? Or the beginning of the end? In this video, we'll reveal secrets that the powerful don't want you to know. Get ready to discover the shocking truth about the hidden connection between Iran and Israel that goes back millennia, the surprising role you could play in the final events, and the forgotten prophecy that predicted it all over 0 years ago. What you are about to see will change your perspective forever. But act fast. The knowledge we will share may not be available for long. The countdown has begun. Are you ready for the truth? World War III's prophecy. 2025, the year of destiny? Watch to the end. Your understanding of the world depends on it. The global landscape is constantly changing, and unseen forces shape the destiny of nations. In this video, we will reveal the surprising connections between current events and ancient prophecies, unraveling a puzzle that few have dared to put together. From Iran's biblical origins to modern tensions with Israel, each piece fits into a larger plan that could culminate in 2025. You'll learn about the duality of Elam's prophecy, Iran's internal division, and how this reflects millennia-old spiritual conflicts. You will discover the crucial role of Gog and Magog in the final events, and how today's actions may be setting the stage for a confrontation of biblical proportions. But this is not just a video about gloomy predictions. It's a call to action, an invitation for you to take a stand at one of the most crucial moments in human history. As we explore geopolitical complexities and ancient prophecies, you will be challenged to reflect on your own role in this cosmic drama. Get ready for a journey through time, connecting the dots between the distant past, the turbulent present, and a future that may be closer than we think. This is no ordinary video. It's a revelation that could change the way you see the world, history, and your own destiny. Don't miss a single moment, as each piece of information is vital to understanding the complete puzzle. The truth is about to be revealed, and you are a fundamental part of this revelation. Be ready to question everything you thought you knew, and to face a reality that is more extraordinary than fiction. The future of humanity could be at stake, and the knowledge you acquire here could be the key to navigating the turbulent times ahead. The countdown to 2025 has begun. Are you prepared for what comes next? In an increasingly turbulent world, where geopolitical tensions intensify every day, one question resonates in the minds of millions of people around the globe. Are we on the brink of World War III? And even more intriguing, did ancient biblical prophecies already predict this devastating conflict for the year 2025? To understand the magnitude of this question, we need to delve deeply into history, sacred scriptures, and contemporary events that seem to intertwine in surprising and sometimes frightening ways. Our journey will take us through the corridors of time, from the dawn of civilization to the tense moments we live in today. The starting point for our investigation is the current scenario in the Middle East, a region that has been the scene of conflicts and prophecies for millennia. The main focus is on the growing tension between Israel and Iran, two nations whose antagonism goes far beyond simple territorial disputes or modern political differences. To truly understand what is at stake, we need to go back in time and examine the biblical roots of this conflict. Iran, known in ancient scripture as Elam, has its origins in the earliest chapters of human history, according to the biblical narrative. Its foundations go back to the descendants of Noah, more specifically to Shem, one of the patriarch's sons. This lineage makes Iran an ancient biblical nation, with a crucial role in the prophecies that shape the Judeo-Christian understanding of future events. In the book of Jeremiah, we find an intriguing prophecy about Elam, ancient Iran. The sacred text reveals that God's throne will be established in Elam, but that this nation will face severe divine judgment. However, the prophecy does not end with punishment. It also speaks of a time of restoration, when some captives will be freed and restored. This duality in the prophecy, punishment and restoration, offers a fascinating and complex insight into Iran's role in future events. But how does this ancient prophecy relate to the conflicts we see in the daily headlines? To answer this question, we need to examine Iran's current situation and its relationship with the rest of the world, especially Israel. Modern Iran is a deeply divided nation. On the one hand, we have a leadership that presents itself as the guardian of traditional Islamic values, maintaining a firm rhetoric against the West, and particularly against Israel. This leadership, headed by the Ayatollahs and the body of the Guardians of the Islamic Revolution, maintains tight control over many aspects of Iranian life and projects an image of unity and strength to the outside world. On the other hand, there is a large section of the Iranian population that yearns for change. This part of society, made up mainly of young people and the urban middle class, wants greater freedom, more economic opportunities, and a deeper connection with the rest of the world. They find themselves caught between the desire for modernization and the restrictions imposed by the theocratic regime. This internal division in Iran reminds us of another nation in the region, Lebanon. Just as Lebanon has been transformed by the influence of Hezbollah, a political military organization supported by Iran, Iran itself is at a crossroads between the extremism of its leaders and its people's desire to modernize. We need to delve deeply into history, sacred scriptures, and contemporary events that seem to intertwine in surprising and sometimes frightening ways. Our journey will take us through the corridors of time. Complexity of this situation becomes even more evident when we look behind the scenes of international intelligence. A notable example is the audacious operation by Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, which succeeded in exposing Iran's nuclear plans. The most surprising thing about this operation was that it was only possible thanks to the support of Iranian dissidents. This reveals a surprising truth. Within Iran itself, there are forces opposed to the current regime, people willing to risk everything to change the course of their nation. This internal reality in Iran adds layers of complexity to the conflict with Israel. It is not simply a question of one nation united against another, but of a clash involving internal factions, conflicting ideologies, and divergent aspirations within Iranian society itself. But the current conflict between Iran and Israel is only the tip of the iceberg when we consider biblical prophecy. To truly understand what is at stake, we need to delve into the prophecies about Gog and Magog, found mainly in the books of Ezekiel and Revelation. These prophecies speak of a coalition of nations, including Persia, modern Iran, who will unite to battle Israel in the end times. The description is vivid and alarming. Armies from various nations, united by a common purpose, marching towards Israel. This is not a scene from a science fiction movie, but a description found in ancient scripture, associated with the events of the last days. The specific mention of Persia, Iran, in this coalition is particularly interesting in the light of current events. Today we see Iran seeking to expand its influence in the region, forming alliances with nations such as Russia, which some scholars associate with Gog, and maintaining a hostile stance towards Israel. This geopolitical configuration seems to line up surprisingly well with ancient prophecies. However, Iran's hostility towards Israel is not a recent phenomenon. It dates back to the enmities described in the Book of Esther, where Haman, a high-ranking official in the Persian Empire, plotted the annihilation of the Jewish people. This biblical episode illustrates an antagonism that seems to have persisted through the millennia, shaping relations between these two nations to this day. It is important to note that this animosity is not shared by all Iranians. Many citizens of Iran do not endorse the anti-Israel rhetoric of their leaders, and there is even a small Jewish community living in Iran. However, the official stance of the Iranian government remains firmly against the existence of the State of Israel. Looking at the current geopolitical map, we see how Iran has expanded its influence in the region. Its presence is strongly felt in Lebanon, through Hezbollah, in Syria, where it supported the Assad regime during the civil war, and in Yemen, where it supports the Houthi rebels. This expansion of influence is not just about territorial disputes or immediate political power. What we are seeing is the modern manifestation of an ancient desire for regional dominance, an echo of the imperial ambitions of ancient Persia. This expansion of Iranian influence has caused great concern not only in Israel, but also among Sunni Arab nations in the region, such as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. The fear of a Shiite crescent, a zone of Iranian influence stretching from Iran to the Mediterranean, has led to new alliances and geopolitical realignments in the region. But beyond political and military considerations, it is crucial to understand that this conflict, in the view of many prophecy scholars, goes far beyond politics or geography. What we are witnessing, they argue, is a spiritual battle, a conflict between light and darkness predicted in the sacred scriptures. This spiritual perspective of the conflict adds a profound and transcendent dimension to the events we observe. It is not just a clash between nations over resources or territory, but a spiritual war unfolding before our eyes. The forces associated with Gog and Magog, in this interpretation, represent darkness, the forces that oppose divine plans, while Israel and its allies are portrayed as defenders of the light, fulfilling a prophetic role in the events of the last days. This spiritual vision of the conflict is particularly relevant when we consider the role of Jerusalem. For Jews, Christians, and Muslims, Jerusalem is a city of immense spiritual importance. The prophecies speak of Jerusalem as the center of the events of the last days, and we see today how this city continues to be a focal point of tensions and disputes. The issue of Jerusalem is particularly sensitive in relations between Iran and Israel. The Iranian government frequently expresses its desire to liberate Jerusalem, while Israel maintains the city as its undivided capital. This impasse over Jerusalem is not only political, but deeply rooted in religious beliefs and prophetic interpretations. Now we come to the crux of our investigation. The question that echoes in our minds about whether World War III will really happen in 2025. Tensions are escalating, alliances are forming, and ancient prophecies seem to be aligning with current events in a way that cannot be ignored. But is 2025 the decisive year? To address this question, we need to consider several factors. First, it's important to recognize that the interpretation of prophecies is a complex and often controversial field. Throughout history, many scholars and religious leaders have made specific predictions about the end times that have not come true. It is therefore prudent to approach any date-specific prediction with caution. However, we cannot ignore the signs of the times. The year 2025 has been mentioned in various circles as a possible turning point. Some point to astrological alignments, others to economic cycles, and still others to numerological interpretations of sacred texts. But beyond these speculations, there are concrete geopolitical factors that deserve our attention. One such factor is Iran's nuclear program. The tensions surrounding this program have been a constant source of international concern. Israel, in particular, sees the potential of a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat. Some analysts fear that if Iran gets too close to obtaining nuclear capability, Israel could opt for preemptive military action, potentially triggering a wider conflict. Another factor to consider is the situation in Syria. The Syrian conflict has become a microcosm of regional and global rivalry, with Iran and Russia backing the Assad regime, while the United States and its allies support various opposition factions. The presence of so many powerful actors in such a confined space increases the risk of a direct confrontation that could quickly escalate. In addition, changes in regional alliances could also play a crucial role. The Abraham Accords, which normalize relations between Israel and several Arab states, have significantly altered the balance of power in the region. These new alliances can either deter conflict or further polarize the region, depending on how the dynamics develop. Iran's internal situation is also a critical factor. Tensions between the regime and segments of the population that want change continue to grow. If there is a significant change in Iran's leadership or political structure, it could have dramatic repercussions for the entire region. On the Israeli side, domestic politics also play an important role. The government's positions on the Palestinian conflict, the expansion of settlements and relations with Arab neighbors can significantly influence regional dynamics. In addition, we cannot ignore the role of the major global powers. The policies of the United States, Russia, and China towards the Middle East have a significant impact on the stability of the region. Any significant change in the stance of these nations could dramatically alter the balance of power. Considering all these factors, it's understandable why many see 2025 as a potentially crucial year. It is a future close enough for current trends to culminate, but far enough away to allow for significant developments in regional and global dynamics. However, it is crucial to remember that history rarely follows a predetermined script. Unforeseen events can dramatically alter the course of events. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, has demonstrated how an unexpected event can quickly reshape global priorities and international dynamics. So what can we conclude about the possibility of a Third World War in 2025? The truth is that no one can predict the future with absolute certainty. What we can say with confidence is that we are living in extraordinary times, times that seem to be strikingly aligned with ancient prophecies. Regardless of whether or not 2025 is the decisive year, it is undeniable that we are in a period of great turbulence and potential transformation. Tensions between Iran and Israel, the realignment of regional alliances, the role of the great powers and ancient prophecies all converge to create a scenario of immense historical and possibly prophetic importance. Faced with this scenario, the question arises, how should we react? What should be our individual and collective response to these challenging realities? For many prophecy scholars, the answer lies in a call to spiritual and moral vigilance. They argue that regardless of when or how the final events unfold, each individual is called upon to make a personal choice. In a world divided between forces of light and darkness, between the forces associated with Gog and Magog, and those aligned with divine teachings, each person is invited to take a stand. This choice, they argue, is not just about choosing a side in a geopolitical conflict. It is a spiritual decision, a choice between the path of righteousness and the path of darkness. It is a call to live according to ethical and moral principles, to seek peace and justice, even in times of conflict and uncertainty. For others, the answer lies in a more active involvement in world affairs. They argue that if we are truly on the brink of events of historic importance, we have a responsibility to engage, to work for peace and understanding, to build bridges between cultures and nations. As the world waits anxiously to see if 2025 will bring the start of World War III, let us remember that every day, every decision we make brings us closer to or further away from the prophesied destiny. The journey we take together in this video is not just about deciphering ancient prophecies or analyzing geopolitical tensions. It is an invitation to reflect deeply on our individual role in this great cosmic drama. The pieces of the puzzle we put together, from the biblical roots of the conflict between Iran and Israel to the prophecies of Gog and Magog, show us that we live in extraordinary times. Times that demand not just vigilance, but conscious action. The choice we face is not simply about which side to support in a global conflict. It's a decision about what kind of world we want to build, what values we want to defend, and what legacy we want to leave for future generations. You, dear viewer, are not just a passive observer of these events. Your ideas, your actions, and your voice have the power to shape the course of history. That's why I invite you to continue this crucial conversation. Share your thoughts, your perspectives, your own interpretations in the comments below. Your unique vision could be the final piece that completes this intricate prophetic puzzle. And if this journey has piqued your curiosity, if you yearn for more knowledge about the connections between the ancient past and our uncertain future, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel. Together, we will continue to explore the mysteries of our time, unraveling the prophecies and seeking to understand our role at this turning point in history. Remember, knowledge is power, but knowledge shared is transformative. By uniting in this search for truth, we are not just preparing for what may come in 2025 or beyond. We are actively participating in shaping the future we want to see. So, before you go, leave your comment, share this video with those you believe need to hear this message, and sign up to continue this fascinating journey with us. The future is being written now, and your voice, your perspective, are essential chapters in this unfolding story. Until the next video, stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, the fate of humanity may well depend on the choices we make today. Together, we can face whatever comes, whether in 2025 or beyond.